Have you guys seen this story? How the men took over a job fair intended for women and non binary tech workers? Well, let's get into this article. An event meant to be a career builder for women and non binary tech workers turned into yet another symbol of the industry's gender imbalance, for self identifying men showed up in droves. The Grace Hopper celebration takes the name of a pioneering computer scientist and billed itself the world's largest annual gathering of women and non binary tech workers. So, in this field, there is a gender imbalance. And so, women took it upon themselves to create a safe space and opportunities for other women. And so what happens? Men who were not centered decided to crash the party. And it reminded me, and someone mentioned in this article, of the Kens taking over Barbie Land. Barbie Land in the Barbie movie was a place where the Barbies came together. They were always having a great day. They had their space. It was for them. It was always a great day in Barbie Land. Now, Kens were there, but Kens were not allowed to stay in Barbie Land. And Ken took exception to this. And instead of creating something that made them feel successful, whole, and healthy, they decided to take over Barbie Land. What the men did to this Grace Hopper convention, where women were coming together to create a safe space, is precisely the entitlement and the colonizing mindset that these Kens have. Now, back to this article. Tickets for this 4-day event in Orlando range from $650 to $1,300 and included a coveted chance to meet one-on-one with sponsors from Apple, Amazon, Salesforce, and Google. With some 30,000 annual attendees, the Career Expo was already a competitive space, according to past participants. But this year, access was even more limited by what organizers described as an increase in participation of self-identifying males. Videos posted to social media showed scenes of men flocking around recruiters, running into events, and cutting in front of women. So they were pushing and shoving. They were making the space practically unsafe, and they just took over, like I said before, with the colonizer's mindset. Competition, pushing people around. And like I said, this one poster said the Kens had taken over Barbie Land. Some of the attendees had lied about their gender identity on their conference registration. Judging by the stacks and stacks of resumes you're passing out, you did so because you thought you could come here and take up space and try to get jobs. So let me be perfectly clear. Stop right now. Stop. Tech jobs were once a safe bet for workers looking for stable, lucrative careers, but an industry-wide wave of layoffs earlier this year left hundreds of thousands of workers suddenly without a job. Women were disproportionately affected by those cuts, making up to 69% of all tech layoffs. And there's also a real big gender gap or gender inequality. Women hold just 26% of jobs across all STEM occupations and even less, 24% in computer fields. So what do women do? Women know how to organize for ourselves. Women have been doing this once we started getting the opportunities to get into STEM. Women started organizing and trying to help more women and girls, because it starts at the girl level, girls to get into STEM and these types of fields. Bo Young Lee, AnitaB.org's president, said in a video post that the shift in demographics had robbed the conference of the joyous and supportive atmosphere that helped previous conference goers grow. We tried to create a safe space, and this week we saw the outside world creep in. I can't guarantee you that we'll have solutions tomorrow, but I guarantee you that we're working on solutions, and we won't do it in a bubble. So this is where we are. We have got to protect our spaces. We have got to recognize that the colonizer mindset shows up, and these people have got to put in protections to help keep the safe space safe for women and girls that are trying to claw these opportunities claw their opportunities and create something for themselves in these spaces. You guys go ahead, jump in the comment section and let me know what you think. Like, comment, share.
A career conference for females in tech was taken over by male attendees. They were there just purely for the career fair.
Social media clips filmed at the Grace Hopper, the world's largest gathering of women technologists, show men standing in line to meet with recruiters.
This is a space for women in tech. This is one of those few limited resources that isn't for you, it's for us.
Some of the male attendees reportedly lied about being non-binary just to get in.
But it's interesting that the large majority of the people that actually ended up in the event had name tags with he, him, and have no searchable history of identifying as non-binary.
Several tech workers defended the men for trying to capitalize on job opportunities not meant for them, saying that the entire concept was wrong.
Let's be honest, there is no need for a conference just for women, because if it was the opposite, just for men, then it would be sexist. Just because you are a woman doesn't give you the right to talk to a big firm recruiter. Guys work just as hard and they don't get that chance. So in response to what happened at Grace Hopper this year, this man decided to write a post about why he supports men going up to these conferences to physically push and intimidate women and take away their job opportunities. He says, "Are we still all about equality? I saw this year that a lot of men showed up to the Grace Hopper conference and women had to compete, wait in line with those men to talk to those recruiters." Again, he neglects to mention the fact that they were sexually harassing women, stalking them to their hotels. But anyways, as a man, I completely support those guys. They allow non-binary people to enter the conference, then why not just represent as non-binary? How many of those men were actually non-binary? That's the problem. Let's be honest, there is no need for a conference just for women, because if it was the opposite, just for men, then it would be sexist. Just because you are a woman doesn't give you the right to talk to a big firm recruiter. Guys work just as hard and they don't get that chance. If we're talking about quality, then make competition fair for everyone. The problem is competition is not fair for everyone. That's why a women's conference exists, to level the playing field, because women are highly discriminated against in tech. I'm someone who works in Silicon Valley in tech, so I know this is true. And if you look at the upper management, all the leadership heavily dominated by men, and the very top, the venture capitalists, 72% are white men, and in general, they're just heavily men, not just white men, but 72% of them are white men. That just tells you how top down this industry is completely dominated by men. This is the poll result, and keep in mind this platform is heavily dominated by men. I would estimate at least 70% of the users are male, but 60% of them disagreed, saying this is a bad take, and about 40% of them said they agree. The first comment is by someone working at OpenAI. If they had a career fair for military veterans, but civilians who have never served in the military crashed it, would you be okay with that? We have another comment by a Fidelity investment employee who basically roasts the OP. This is so wrong, and exactly why this app is filled with such insecure losers who only care about total compensation, how much you make, and wonder why they can't get girls to like them. There's no equality for girls in tech. It's saturated by mostly guys who embrace the tech bro or nerdy dude energy who's socially awkward around girls. It's so much harder for women to fit in the general community, and this is true because sexism and discrimination is rampant, as evident by studies and stats. So that's why there is equity. Equity to make it more fair to enact such benefits like a women's conference. Also, most of the guys at these conferences are non-binary. Get real. I mean, this is true because they also filled out the forms that they were binary. So I'm a straight guy saying this, and I can confidently say this after spending so much time with other male software engineers. I hear them say such sexist things to women, like they can't drive. It's actually sickening. Ironically, they're the same ones who go clubbing and complain about why girls don't like them and only go for dumb guys. So yeah, if you don't see anything wrong with this, good luck in life. OP gets defensive and says, "Bro, who exactly are you talking about? Most guys are not like that." Well, the guys who think it's right for men to go to a women's conference and take away women's job opportunities are definitely like that, like the LP. Stop stereotyping. Just like girls can't drive as a stereotype, so is guys in tech are toxic. Girls can't drive is statistically not accurate, because if you look at the insurance stats, women are better drivers. That's why they get better rates, because insurance companies know, after measuring all the data, that women customers are safer drivers. They have no incentive to make up these numbers. They are driven by profit margins. So if they give women a better quote, it's because women are better drivers. So they see that there's less risk in having a woman customer than a male customer. And the fact that guys in tech are toxic, I mean, this is rampant in the discrimination studies and the harassment studies, the sexism studies. Like, we don't have to get into all that. Someone working at JP Morgan says the Grace Hopper conference used to be a safe space for women. Now, men are pushing against women to skip the line, intimidate women, and stalk them in their hotels, take photos of their bodies, flirt with them, follow them to their hotel room, sexually harass them. All of this is in my previous video that you can see based on the comments that women who went to the conference have said. I felt sick to my stomach every time a 6-foot guy shoved me to the side. No apologies. I felt violated every time a guy pushed his arms against my breast because apparently getting in line was more important than respecting my body. My blood was boiling every time a man who has not even graduated yet mansplained to me about basic tech concepts. This happens to me all the time in my videos where men that don't even work in tech will mansplain to me about what tech is. Even my previous video, a man was mansplaining to me about what Grace Hopper was. Their cops were called on the second day. Things got too much out of control because of these men, and this is probably the first time that cops were called to a Grace Hopper conference. We have someone from Apple saying, I think it's funny and inappropriate that the men who ask questions like this often can't spell, use proper grammar, or put together an intelligible sentence. OP gets defensive, says it's bland, not an English class. Apple says, good luck getting a job while being cluelessly sexist and unable to communicate at a basic level. The OP says, stop smoking and build a new iPhone. Apple says, I work at one of the top companies in the world, and you? Then we have comments like this. Someone from Cubic saying, would you like some cheese with that wine? Smart Things saying, no need for a women-only conference. And we have Amazon, it's always Amazon, saying women are privileged now. UDA Technology says, in this country, if you treat men and women equally, you are sexist.